From the silent depths of space, where no ray of sunlight penetrates the eternal darkness, a strange guest appeared. It wasn't visible in any photograph, in any database, until one day in early spring 2025, when the automated Atlas observation system detected a tiny spark of light, faint, almost imperceptible. Algorithms registered an object whose trajectory defied conventional celestial geometry. It was moving too fast, at an angle that clearly marked it as a visitor from beyond our star system. Thus, 3th Atlas appeared in the sky, the third known interstellar wanderer, following the mysterious Oumuamua and the swift comet Borisov. But while the first two visitors had already generated more questions than answers, this one proved even more enigmatic. It seemed to carry with it the shadow of an alien world, a silent message from places where stars have been born and dying for billions of years. At first, everything seemed quite ordinary. Scientists hypothesized it was a comet ejected from a distant system, trapped in interstellar void for millions of years, and accidentally captured by the sun's gravity. But the longer they observed it, the less things added up. It flared up when it shouldn't have, dimmed as it approached heat, and its tail didn't obey the solar wind. The light reflected from its surface was cold and even, as if this wasn't an icy monolith, but something else made of a material unknown to our spectral analysis. Scientific forums erupted. Discussions in laboratories, live streams by amateur astronomers, publications in journals. Everyone sought an explanation. Why does 3I Atlas accelerate when its orbit should be stable? Why does its surface not show the usual signs of degassing, like any comet approaching the sun? And most importantly, why do data from different telescopes contradict each other, as if someone is interfering with the very play of light? Some scientists cautiously suggested, perhaps this isn't a comet at all. Maybe it's a fragment of something larger, an ancient ship, a probe, or a technological artifact wandering among the stars. Others, more skeptical, argued that it's simply a unique type of interstellar body whose composition hasn't been studied yet. But even they admitted, the behavior of 3I Atlas defies all known scientific models. Similar things were once said about Oumuamua. Its blade-like elongated shape and strange acceleration, without visible outgassing, made many ponder an extraterrestrial origin. Then came comet Borisov, cold, normal, but also interstellar. It showed that a guest from another system could be a natural body. And now the third, a third visitor, and again, something that doesn't fit simple explanations. Atlas seems to break traditions. It doesn't just fly, it almost behaves. Its brightness breathes, its orbit seems to react to invisible forces. Telescope signals show microscopic directional fluctuations that can't be explained by chance. For some, it's just dust, solar wind, optical errors. For others, signs of something greater. Yet no matter how astronomers debate, one thing is clear. 3I Atlas is not just a comet. It came from beyond our system, from depths humanity cannot yet reach even in thought. Perhaps it carries traces of another star, another world where chemistry and physical laws operate slightly differently. Perhaps it will silently fly past, leaving us with new questions. Or maybe this visit will become the key to understanding, not only how the cosmos works, but what it means to be part of it. As 3I Atlas moves along its mysterious trajectory, humanity once again lifts its gaze to the sky. Every time a new speck of light appears on the telescope screen, hearts skip a beat. Perhaps right now we're witnessing a message millions of years old, one that has finally found its way to us. When the first rumors of a strange interstellar object reached scientific communities, it all began one night. A quiet, unremarkable shift at the observatory. The Atlas telescope, stationed in Hawaii, was routinely scanning the sky for asteroids posing a danger to Earth. Millions of points of light passed through its lenses, turning into lines of data. But one of them, barely noticeable, unstable, as if alive, made the algorithms alert. At first, no one paid it much mind. Just another asteroid, perhaps a wandering comet. But its coordinates didn't match any known orbits. The screen displayed a trajectory that literally slammed into the solar system at an impossible angle, as if the object had entered it from the outside, crossed an invisible boundary, and headed inward toward the sun. Astronomers decided to double-check the data. Several independent observatories joined the observations, and it soon became clear this was no error. The object was moving too fast for a body bound by the sun's gravity. Its speed and direction indicated it had arrived from interstellar space. Archival images confirmed 3I Atlas had been seen before. In old sky photographs taken months before its discovery, a tiny dot could be discerned moving in the same direction. Back then, it was too faint to attract interest, but now all the pieces fell into place. Scientists reconstructed the wanderer's path, tracing it from the far outskirts of the system to its current position. The initial orbital calculations surprised even the most experienced specialists. Its trajectory didn't just resemble a hyperbola, it was a perfect hyperbola, extending beyond the sun's gravitational grasp. Such a path meant one thing. The object had come from outside and would soon leave our system again, passing through it like a meteor through the night sky, swiftly, dazzlingly, and forever. But there was something more in these numbers. Slight fluctuations, barely noticeable changes in velocity, strange microscopic accelerations, as if 3I Atlas was adjusting its own route. This didn't fit the calculations. Not even corrections for solar radiation pressure or mass loss helped. The orbit remained enigmatic, as if governed not by physics, but by some invisible logic. It was at this moment that the word anomaly was first uttered among researchers. Its origin remained unexplained, but each new image, each observation, only intensified the feeling that behind the cold mask of this interstellar wanderer lay a story where simple answers no longer existed. After astronomers confirmed the object's orbit and interstellar origin, the scientific community's attention became utterly fixated on it. 3I Atlas was no longer just another point in sky images. It had become a genuine mystery, challenging conventional understanding of comets. The first weeks of observations revealed that this visitor behaved completely differently from how icy wanderers of the solar system should. As telescopes began recording the motion parameters and glow of 3I Atlas, something strange emerged. Even at vast distances, where sunlight is too weak to heat ice, signs of evaporation began appearing around the object. Normally, comets only awaken after crossing Jupiter's orbit, when solar rays become powerful enough to heat their frozen substance. But with Atlas, it happened much earlier, nearly 1.5 times farther from the sun than usual for ordinary comets. Scientists were puzzled. Where was the energy coming from to trigger evaporation at such a distance? Instruments detected the release of hydroxyl molecules, a characteristic product of water breakdown under ultraviolet radiation. Calculations showed the object was losing tens of kilograms of water ice every few seconds. This is minor by cosmic standards, but the fact that activity appeared where comets usually remain dormant put astronomers on alert. Later, infrared observatories joined in, yielding even more astonishing results. Around the object's nucleus, evaporation was observed not only of water, but also of carbon dioxide, and in significant quantities. This dry ice formed a dense temporary atmosphere, a coma characteristic of active comets, yet the body's own behavior remained strange. Its brightness fluctuated, as if someone were controlling the rate and direction of evaporation, but this wasn't the only enigma. The very motion of 3I Atlas also raised questions. When specialists tried to refine its orbit, they found the trajectory didn't fully obey the laws of gravity. The object seemed to slightly accelerate and decelerate, responding to unknown forces. Similar behavior had been observed once before, with the famous Oumuamua, the first interstellar guest that visited us in 2017. Back then, slight, anomalous accelerations were also recorded, unexplainable by ordinary gravitational attraction or ice evaporation. With 3I Atlas, it happened again, but now with even greater precision. Motion models based on hundreds of observations showed the object periodically deviating from its predicted course, as if something was correcting its path. Yet no pronounced tail or powerful gas ejector that could explain such impulses were detected. Astronomers cautiously began suggesting that perhaps they weren't looking at a typical comet, but a body of entirely different origin. Some proposed that a chemical reaction releasing energy might be occurring inside, while others suggested the object's surface was unusual, reflecting solar radiation in a way that creates microscopic pressure capable of slightly altering its trajectory. But there were those who dared to voice a bolder hypothesis. What if 3I Atlas isn't a natural body, but an artificial probe created by an unknown civilization? This idea would have seemed fantastical, if not for the facts. Too many coincidences, too strange a behavior, too lively a flight pattern. Perhaps it was all just a trick of nature, but scientists knew one thing. Every new image, every measurement, every night of observation brought more questions and fewer answers. When the data on 3I Atlas's strange accelerations were confirmed, the scientific community found itself at a crossroads. Some sought rational explanations, while others cautiously entertained the impossible. An object that behaved unlike a comet, unlike an asteroid, and unlike anything previously encountered within the solar system, demanded new theories. The first and most conservative hypothesis was a natural one. Perhaps we were simply witnessing an extremely rare type of interstellar comet. Ice with an unusual composition, for instance rich in volatiles like carbon monoxide or methane, could have begun evaporating much farther from the Sun than is typical for ordinary comets. In that case, everything could be explained. A unique chemical composition, an age of billions of years, and a weary surface that had endured a long journey between stars. Atlas could be an ancient fragment traveling through galactic space since the time our solar system was just beginning to form. But the more observations accumulated, the harder it became to remain within the bounds of conventional logic. Certain parameters, unusual reflectivity, uneven rotation, abrupt changes in brightness, made it seem as if the object wasn't merely reacting to sunlight, but almost being controlled by it. This gave rise to the second hypothesis, an artificial one. 3I Atlas might not be a natural comet, but something created, a probe, a fragment of ancient technology, perhaps long departed from its native system. Even the most cautious researchers admitted the object's behavior resembled what might be expected from a lightweight structure, like a solar sail responding to photon pressure. This idea seemed crazy, yet not entirely new. Similar discussions had arisen a few years earlier when the mysterious Oumuamua flew through the solar system. Back then, strange accelerations were also recorded, along with an absence of typical cometary activity and the object's anomalous shape. Mathematical models couldn't explain everything at once, and the parallels between Oumuamua and 3I Atlas looked increasingly obvious. Too many coincidences. Interstellar origin, non-standard trajectory, faint glow, and the impossibility of precise classification. Thus, from assumptions and numbers, from graphs and nightly observations, a feeling of mild unease was born. If 3I Atlas truly is something artificial, then it is a message, or a trace of a civilization whose technology surpassed ours by millennia. But while astronomers continue to debate, telescopes silently track the tiny spark, carrying itself back into the depths of space, to where perhaps someone once awaited its return. When 3I Atlas left the inner solar system, its path remained a mystery. But even before that moment, astronomers realized this interstellar wanderer wasn't just passing by, it was interacting. Its trajectory brought it near the orbits of Mars, Venus, and even Earth, and each of these approaches, though at vast distances, carried valuable data. For when an object from another world crosses our gravitational field, the very fabric of celestial mechanics begins to subtly tremble. Initial calculations showed that 3I Atlas would not collide with any planets, but it would pass close enough for telescopes, orbital stations, and spacecraft to observe it. Martian orbiters like MRO and MAVEN had a chance to witness a rare event, potentially becoming the first to observe an interstellar body from another planet. Even the James Webb Space Telescope and near-space probes adjusted their observation schedules to catch even a faint glimmer of this strange visitor. As it approached the Sun, Atlas's trajectory began to change slightly, unlike the behavior of ordinary comets. The gravity of planets, the solar wind, and possibly internal processes within the object itself were influencing its motion. A complex web of forces, from Jupiter's powerful gravitational perturbations to Earth's gentle tug, gradually wove together into a kind of celestial dance. Scientists created dozens of models, each predicting a slightly different path. Some suggested Atlas, after passing Venus, would slightly accelerate and move upward relative to the heliocentric plane. Others predicted Earth's gravity would alter its orbital inclination, as if it were veering away. Some even speculated that, under the influence of unknown factors, the object might exhibit a will of its own, changing its course slightly once more, as it had done before. Scientific stations on Earth and orbital telescopes prepared for synchronized observations. Images, spectra, infrared measurements, everything was to be combined into one concerted effort to understand what we were dealing with. For every photon reflected from 3i Atlas carried a tiny piece of information about its composition, age, and perhaps its origin. Thus, as the object slowly flew along the planetary orbits, it seemed to pass under the attentive gaze of all our eyes, earthly and celestial. And in those quiet moments, when the cosmos seemed still, something almost symbolic occurred. An alien wanderer, having come from beyond our star, wove itself into the rhythm of the solar system, becoming a part of it, if only for a short while. When 3i Atlas was departing from the Sun, it seemed the story of the interstellar wanderer was coming to an end. But space rarely leaves its stages empty. Almost simultaneously, while observations of Atlas were still ongoing, astronomers detected the approach of two new guests, comets Swan and Lemon. Their appearance became an unexpected continuation of the drama, as if the universe had decided to stage a parade of icy wanderers. First came C2020 F8, Swan, bright. With a bluish-green halo, it flared up in images from the Swan detector aboard the SOHO spacecraft. Its tail stretched for millions of kilometers, and observers worldwide prepared to witness a rare spectacle, a comet potentially visible to the naked eye. Then, slightly later, from another part of the celestial sphere appeared C2020 F3, Lemon, colder, fainter, but no less mysterious. Both comets were heading toward the inner solar system, almost synchronously with 3i Atlas, and this coincidence seemed too curious to simply dismiss. Astronomers couldn't help but wonder, was it mere chance? Three objects moving almost simultaneously, yet with entirely different orbits and origins. After all, Atlas came from interstellar depths, while Swan and Lemon were typical inhabitants of the Oort cloud, the ancient reservoir of cometary bodies surrounding the solar system. Yet their appearance during the same period created a sense that something large-scale was happening in space. Related to gravitational rhythms we don't yet understand, orbital and ground-based telescopes were once again pointed toward the sky. Scientists compared spectra, analyzed the speed, brightness, and chemical composition of all three objects. Atlas behaved strangely, Swan shone unstably, and Lemon exhibited unexpected outbursts of activity, as if all three were obeying some common, invisible law. Yet despite their superficial similarities, each of these comets carried its own story. Atlas, a guest from another star, a messenger from an alien system. Swan, a mirror of the solar wind revealed in ultraviolet glow. Lemon, a quiet green comet with a soft light, like the breath of a frozen world. And in their simultaneous appearance, many saw a reminder: the cosmos is alive, and its breath is palpable even across billions of kilometers. Thus, the three celestial wanderers, interstellar Atlas, bright Swan, and fragile Lemon, inadvertently intertwined in the minds of observers. They carried different mysteries, but in their motion, one melody could be felt: the endless pulse of the universe in which every body, every spark of ice and light is part of a great cosmic rhythm. As astronomers continued to observe the three celestial wanderers, Atlas, Swan, and Lemon, attention toward them rapidly expanded beyond the scientific community. It seemed every day brought new images, hypotheses, and speculations. And while interstellar comets were once discussed only in narrow academic circles, now they were talked about on television, written about in the media, and hotly debated on social media. The appearance of three unusual objects within a single star system seemed too coincidental to simply ignore. A feeling grew in society: something is happening, and perhaps not by chance. Scientists reacted differently. Some remained cool-headed and cautious in their judgments, preferring to stick to dry facts: orbits, composition, luminosity, speed. Others openly admitted the behavior of some comets, especially 3I Atlas, didn't fit conventional models. Why did outgassing begin at such a distance from the Sun? Where did the strange accelerations and deviations from calculated trajectories come from? These questions remained without precise answers, meaning the space for speculation grew ever wider. Scientific publications poured in one after another. Articles in the Astrophysical Journal and Nature Astronomy discussed the chemical composition of dust, spectral features, and energy emissions. But simultaneously, the internet filled with headlines like, "An alien probe is heading toward Earth," or "NASA is hiding the truth about 3I Atlas." Popular bloggers and pseudo-scientists skillfully blended fact with fantasy, creating the perfect breeding ground for conspiracy theories. Social media spread videos with enhanced comet images, allegedly showing geometric structures, antennas, and artificial light sources. In the comments, users argued. Some claimed it was the result of digital artifacts, while others saw it as proof of extraterrestrial intelligence. Every new frame, every observation, only added fuel to the fire. Even proponents of the observation mission idea emerged, as if some alien craft had intentionally chosen a trajectory through the solar system to collect data about the planets without making contact. Supporters of this version pointed to how precisely 3I Atlas passed near the orbits of Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, as if following a pre-calculated route. However, professional astronomers urged restraint. They reminded everyone that science is not about chasing sensations, but about testing hypotheses. And as long as there is no direct evidence of the object's artificial origin, any talk of alien probes remains just compelling stories. Scientists emphasized even the strangest behavior of a celestial body could have natural explanations, if we simply don't yet know all the laws by which the universe lives. Nevertheless, this case became a mirror for society. It showed how quickly the boundary between science and myth blurs under the pressure of curiosity and fear. Some craved truth, others just spectacle. And 3I Atlas, like its celestial companions Swan and Lemon, became more than just an object of observation. It transformed into a symbol of our eternal yearning for the unknown. When the dust of debates and sensations begins to settle, only the silent glow of the strange object remains in space, a tiny dot flying among the stars. 3I Atlas is already moving away from us, but its trail contains more than just astrophysical data. It is an invitation to ponder who we are and in which part of the infinite universe we reside. With each new interstellar guest, be it the elongated Oumuamua, the shining Borisov, or now this enigmatic 3I Atlas, humanity seems to peer behind the galaxy's veil. We understand, interstellar space is not empty. Wanderers drift there, messengers from other worlds carrying traces of their stellar cradles, and each of them is like a letter written in the language of dust and ice, which scientists are only learning to read. According to calculations, Atlas came from depths where the sun's light is just one among millions of stars. Its path, so incredible in shape and speed, tells us that the galaxy is a living, dynamic system where rocks, ice, and perhaps even the spores of life wander between worlds. We are not an isolated island, but part of a great ocean, and these rare encounters remind us of this better than any philosophical treatise. Scientists see 3I Atlas as a chance to understand processes occurring far beyond the solar system. Perhaps somewhere out there, around other stars, similar comets are colliding with planets, bringing water, organic matter, and maybe the first seeds of life. By observing Atlas, we are, in a way, observing our own past, the time when Earth was still awaiting its first rain. But there is another, more unsettling nuance to this story. For if one object could cross the interstellar void and approach Earth, then this is not an exception, but a pattern. How many more such bodies are heading toward us, invisible, elusive? And what will happen if one day it is not a piece of ice and rock that appears, but something created by intelligence? Every new discovery, like Atlas, transforms these questions from science fiction into scientific necessity. We stand on the threshold of an era when studying interstellar travelers will become as important as planetary observation once was. This is no longer mere curiosity. It is an attempt to understand the very structure of the galaxy, its connections, flows, and the exchange of matter and energy. Atlas may not have provided answers, but it left a direction. It showed that our cosmos is not closed but open. That movement is the essence of all that is alive, be it a star, a comet, or a human. And when the next interstellar wanderer appears on the horizon, we will be ready to greet it differently, not as a mystery, but as part of the grand story to which we ourselves belong. Thus, in the silence of the night sky, a new era is dawning. An era where the boundaries of the solar system no longer limit our gaze, where every ray of light that has traveled billions of kilometers could be a herald of something greater. And perhaps one day one such spark will not just fly past but stop and bring an answer to the oldest question: are we alone?